So was Victor Wembanyama snubbed from the West All-Star starting unit? And let's look at the midseason report card for the Bigs.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're doing the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Hope you all having a great Tuesday. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You know where to go. Ken's Plus app, YouTube. We just got Spotify, a pickup platform. We are there. Locked On Spurs newsletter, free and available. If you're on the YouTube side of things, click the description below. You'll see the link. It says Locked On Spurs newsletter. Click on that. It's completely free. Sign up today. What are we talking about today? We're going to be asking the question, was Victor Wembanyama snubbed from the West All-Star starting unit? And then continue the mid-season grading. This time we're going to put into focus the bigs. So that includes Zach Collins, Bassey, Victor Wembanyama. I wonder what grade he's going to get. And I guess Mamu, we'll throw Mamu in there, might as well. And we'll be discussing all that and more. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. There's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers get themselves $200 in bonus bet if they just bet a $5 and they win. So there you go. Download the app. Head on to FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, so Victor Wembanyama is not going to be starting for the West starting five out in the All-Star Game 2025. Narrowly edged out by Kevin Durant. More than likely not, he's going to get the reserve role. I mean, I think it's all written in stone. I think that will be more shocking if he doesn't get that role. But nevertheless, was he snubbed? There was an argument that, yeah, he may have been. We know what he can do defensively. We know what he can do offensively. We know he's a unique, big, stretch the floor, dominating the paint. But, yeah, he did not come on the starting five. So what went wrong? Why was it a snub? I think it was. I think our guest knows it's a snub. I think he's been very vocal about it. It's going to bring him on. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Rudy, welcome back to Locked On Spurs. And one thing, we never snub you every week. We keep you on at least once per week. You never get snubbed here.
I never get snubbed. I know the fans either love me or hate me, but you know what? I'm on Locked On every single week with you, man. And yeah, dude, I've been very vocal about the snub, but I'm going to let you introduce us into that.
Yeah, let's go and do that. By the way, make sure to follow Rudy on X at Sweep the League and check out his show, Sweep the League, on YouTube. Growing fast. Spreading his wings, we get a former NBA player on there, Derek Irvin. Your only evening show in San Antonio on YouTube globally, if you really think about it. So, yeah, I'll talk about that later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. But, Rudy, let's go to dive into the big chat among Spurs fans right now was Victor snubbed from the West starting unit? We know he's likely going to get his all-star nod. There's no way the coaches pass on him after what he's doing. And particularly those are close in the voting, for the starting unit. But I'm going to say, obviously, I think he was a major snub from ESPN down to even the guys at TNT inside the NBA. Everybody's saying he was snubbed. And this was a narrow edge out. And Rudy, I got to say it's just still a freaking popularity contest because we'll break down some of the numbers right now. But they give it to Kevin Durant. That's who edged out Victor. It was by a slim margin. It's just a freaking popularity contest, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing every single year. It's a popularity contest. And I'm gonna say that Kevin Durant is deserving of a starter position, but it's LeBron James, the so-called GOAT in a lot of kids' hearts, and he's the best of all time. That's the one that should not be an all-star starter with the inclusion of Steph Curry, but Victor don't play that position. But LeBron James taking away from Victor Wembanyama on the all-star starting spot, ridiculous. The guy is not even averaging, close to X number of points for the season. Lakers are having a better season than the Spurs, obviously. But when you have a player like Victor Wembanyama, who's been a top 5 MVP candidate and said nationally on national telecast that he is, how do you snub that guy? He's put up some ridiculous numbers. And are you going to penalize him for the record of the Spurs? Well, you should have penalized Steph Curry because they're technically not in the play-in right now. So records should be thrown out the window. The All-Star Game celebrates players. Victor should be a starter.
Absolutely. All right. So what went wrong for Victor? Well, voting in a certain category or a certain population, I should say, Now, the media, they knew what was up. He finished second among media votes. So by that should have given him a nice, comfortable lead, or at least keep him closer than what the final outcome was between him and Durant. But where it went wrong was fan voting. He finished fourth in fan voting, and that's ultimately what doomed him. And there you go, popularity contest. The fans still look at LeBron and Kevin Durant and all these guys as ahead of him. It could be a mixture, in my opinion, of just, hey, fans are thinking, Victor's time will come. He's going to be dominating the league. And I proposed this question to you a few days ago. I'll bring it up here. I feel like if it was LeBron James who maybe should have not gotten that starting nod, then it was kind of a farewell gift, kind of a parting gift before his NBA time in the NBA comes to an end. It got to come down. I mean, the way he's playing, I get it, but the light at the end of the tunnel is a lot brighter for LeBron than it is for Victor. So maybe it was just a kind of a parting gift from the fans. I don't think so, but that's my only logical thing, other than just the league just cramming LeBron James in everybody's faces for everything, from his son, Bronny, to if he puts up a 20-point outing, that's going to get more love on the national media than Victor's 30-point outing. I think that's what it is. I think the NBA, the fans still view LeBron as the face of the league.
Yeah, it's LeBron syndrome, man. They're shoving the LeBron James into our face, under the networks. It's all about LeBron. And you know what? Hey, his heyday, he was great. But, I mean, he's way past his prime. He's towards the twilight of his career. Doesn't mean you got to vote him in as a starter still. But, again, popularity, man. I mean, you're talking about if Michael Jordan was still playing and well past his prime, he would get a starting nod. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got a starting nod when he was in Washington for that 1 year. So, again, it's a popularity thing. You can't blame the fans if they're super popular and they're super hyped about LeBron. But at the end of the day, right's got to be right. And they kind of got to do something on the measurement part. Fans are always going to vote one-sided for certain players. And I get it's not fair. And the league is there for the fans. But something's got to be done, man. I don't know. It was really irritating to see an MVP candidate not voted on into the starting lineup for the All-Star game.
Yeah, and I think you look at the long-standing legacies that the guys like James and Durant have. Obviously that overshadows Wemby. Wemby's not even finishing his second season. I mean, he's under like a rookie and a half. Really think about it. And he's not even finished his sophomore year. LeBron and Durant, they're established names. And not to say Victor isn't, but he's a rising name fast. So, yeah, offensively, we know what he can do. Defensively, I mean, again, Rudy, we don't have to go to the numbers. Fans are listening, and they know what Victor's doing defensively and offensively. But that should have still been a huge factor. If you're going to look at who performs well, who plays well, and the numbers are there, Victor edges them out. Durant and LeBron. But I do think that maybe a little bit of the Spurs are, they're below 500. They're a 500 team. LeBron's on technically an above 500 team. They're and then it's LA. It's a sexier market than San Antonio. So I think all that got into the fans' head and why they still picked Durant and even LeBron ahead of Wemby. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, God, man, it's kind of crazy because you're going to still get the love for LeBron. You're still going to get the love for Durant. They've got better status, I guess, in the NBA. They've had more years, they've had more accomplishments than Victor have. And they're going to get more love than Victor right now. But it feels like, if you go back last year, Jeff, it feels like the snub for Defensive Player of the Year. And, the NBA gave it to Rudy Gobert. Should have been Victor's. This season, Victor should be a clear-cut favorite of it. But it comes back to, again, you get snubbed in another category that you deserve to win or deserve to be a part of. That is a starter point. But to the credit of what we were saying earlier, Durant gets the nod. I'm not going to deny that. Durant's been having a really good season. So he gets the nod as a starter. I can't make any excuses for that. The part I don't like is the LeBron James factor. I mean, he's not even the best player on his team, technically, with Anthony Davis there. They have a lot of struggles, and it's just popularity. It's just like, oh, hey, it's LeBron. We have to vote for LeBron. Probably sells the most shoes, this and that, all that other good stuff. But the NBA has to overlook it. Adam Silver, you've got to reevaluate not just the All-Star game, but everything in the league, because Getting pretty bad.
Yeah, and the voting for starters heavily leans towards the fans, and I get it. It's the LA fan league. It's the fans that drive it. It's the fans that spend the money, from concessions to tickets to suites to parking. I get it, but maybe they should just lessen the significance of the fan votes. Maybe put it more into the media hands, and if the media got it right, definitely second among media. So maybe just lessen the impact the fans have. Not to say they're taking away their full power. Just, hey, instead of 8% of the voting, y'all get 65%, something like that. So but
I was going to say you're bringing up a great point. I think the fans' vote should count. But what they need to do is kind of separate it. Don't allow fan voting to continuously get starters into the starting nod for the All-Star game. Allow the fans to select maybe 2 starters from each side, East and West. The top 2 guys, 1 forward, 1 guard. You're in. The rest are media driven, and that, to me, that is what is fair for the NBA. You got to limit how many players the fans can get in. Plus, how many people are in Paris, man, in France? Like 54 million. Where are those players at? You didn't vote the Wemby? I mean, come on, that could have made a huge difference.
Even Chris Paul mentioned the fans out in France. He was like, "Hey, where were you guys? Get them in." Remember the Yao Ming effect when China, the entire country voted him in. So there's that. But look, overall, Wemby stat on both ends of the court. That's a strong argument why he should have been included as a starter. We get that, but the All-Star NBA voting system that has fans and the player and the media votes, that's where it gets jumbled up. So I think, if anything, it just highlights that, it needs to be looked at, reevaluated, and should have had Wemby in there. Was Wemby snubbed? Absolutely, he was snubbed. You cannot deny what he's doing. But look, there's the other side of the argument too, Rudy. Wemby's going to be probably a starter starting next season at this point. And he'll probably have his personal string of all-star nods, starting nods, just like LeBron does. But what is it? LeBron's like 20 plus now, starting a nod. So Wemby's going to have his time. I think that was maybe a little bit of the factor into why the fans voted that way. But was Wemby snubbed? Absolutely. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. He'll talk about his show, very popular show called Sweep the League on YouTube. So make sure you do that right now. When we get back, we're going to be putting the report cards down. We're going to do the red pen out. We look at the Spurs bigs, how they doing at the midseason point of the season. We're talking about that in just a few seconds. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Super Bowl 59 is here. 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first down, calling the MVP, or even betting on the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get in onto the action. With live betting all game long, you can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for the Super Bowl, that's icing on the cake. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59.
What's up, guys? This is KG Tang, voice of Sanami Shinizugawa and Demon Slayer, and you're watching Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. Make sure you do that right now. Report card time. No, it's not for you, Rudy. Those days are long gone. Remember getting nervous when your parents would get your report cards? And you're like, oh, my.
I get nervous when I get my daughter's point card now, report card. So
I used to get super nervous when my parents got over my report card. And I remember pleading with teachers, like, please change my grade. Like,
imagine back in the day, our report cards were wrapped in an envelope and they were sealed and we couldn't open them. I mean, those were the back in the days. Now they're online. Just go online and find them right away.
Well, kids, back in the day, we also had to, like, physically transport our report cards to our parents to get them signed by them. so they were aware that they saw it. So that was always not a fun treat. Although when you did grades, it was exciting because your parents would be so proud of you. You love that. But when it was a bad grade, man, and I did everything from changing the letter grades on my own with a pencil or a pen, just like, oh no, it really is a B. It's not a D. Ain't got that. But all right, let's go look at the Spurs bigs. We're gonna put them in spotlight right now. That includes Bassey, Wemby, Collins, and we're gonna throw in Mamu for this topic here. Let's start off with everybody else but Wemby. We'll save Wemby for last. So that goes Bassey, Collins, and Mamu. Let's start off with Bassey, coming back from injury, been showing a lot of energy when Wemby is out. There's not too much of a drop off in rim protection. Guys block beasts, not at Wemby's level, but, pretty good. Run the floor, rim runner, athletic, bouncy, big, all that good stuff. But still hasn't really shown a lot of development outside of that. No mid-range shot, no three shot. So, he still has a ways to go, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really has a ways to go. And golly, there's a lot that's a lot of goods you can see in that. I really do feel that. And it's just going to take a little bit of time. He still has a long ways to go, but you're seeing the bits and pieces come together, and it's just a little bit of time. Fact is he going to be a part of the Spurs organization long enough? I guess that's the biggest question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely a player that you can see not sticking around with the rebuild, especially if the Spurs beef up their big man core, and that's have like a big thing right now. What do the Spurs need moving forward? And the rebuild is quality backup to Wemby. And right now, we're starting off with Bassey. Not it. He doesn't really spread the floor. Just look at some of the numbers here. So I can pull them up real fast. But not really a floor spreader. He's averaging about 58% from the field, but that's all close in the rim. He's not shooting threes. He hasn't even taken a three this season at all. Yeah. He's played 30 games. He averages about 10 minutes a game, but he got 20 blocks already. Last year, he recorded 17 before he got injured, so 28 right now. Giving you 4 rebounds, giving you about 5 points a game. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Wemby here. I don't think Bassey will ever become that floor spreader. I would be okay if he just had even a pop shot, just something, anything. Kind of like, remember Jakob Poeltl used to have that little kind of a pop shot near the rim, something like that. But
so I think he's going to be no. Go ahead, finish your thought.
No. I just want to say, I think the way to look at Bassey is, if Spurs remember, look at Jeff Ayers from back in the day when he was kind of back in the Tim Duncan. Very high, very good leaper, can get to the basket, can make things happen, likes to dunk everything, can be a good shot blocker, but is never going to translate to being a backup, is what I'm saying, until he gets more minutes and more experience, with certain lineups. Then you might see it, but I've always looked at Bassey as that Jeff Ayers type of player.
Mm-hmm. Now, where Bassey has value is his energy. We hear it a lot from the Spurs players, his teammates, whenever he does have good games. Even Keldon Johnson one time was picking on Bassey in the locker room. I remember being there saying, hey, the league's going to drug test you, Charles. Why? Because Bassey had put up some monster number, double-double. He's definitely, again, he does the dirty work. He'll clean up the glass. He'll block shot. He'll rim protect. He'll run. He's a swift, agile guy. But until he can open up his game a little bit more, there's still a lot of room for improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and give him he does do, he knows his role. I think that got to be awesome. His curve here. I'm going to give him a C+.
C+?
Yeah.
Okay. You're right where I was. I was right at a C. I was right below C+. Give him a C. Very well deserves it. Like I said, you can see something's there. I just don't know if they realize what they truly have. He's not going to be a floor spreader. He's going to be an energy guy. So I think he's the type of guy that can kind of spell a couple of minutes here and there, and then that's it.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk about Big Mamu, Sandro. Again, he is a floor spreader. He'll definitely knock down those threes. He's got here connected on 19 threes so far this season. It's taken about 47. He's connected about 40% of that. So kudos to him. Again, just like Bassey, energy guy, hustle. He's averaging about 8.7 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.6 rebounds. 4 points and 2.6 rebounds, excuse me. Has 7 blocks this season. He's doing it all in about 8 minutes. So he's highly effective there. For me, I think it's just a victim of playing time. We know there's a lot of potential there. My goodness, he's hustle. He's a big dude. He'll throw his body around. He kind of knows the international game. He meshes well with Wemby. We talked about those shooting from deep. You do that. He can score. He can do a little defense, but it just feels he's a victim of rotation right now.
Yeah, and that primarily is the reason why a lot of fans would probably grade him low. But if grading him is based off his performance, I've actually got him at a high grade. And that, you're right. It's just sad that a player of his talent and caliber doesn't get the run that he deserves. I mean, the guy is, he's a do everything type of player as a big, and he makes great passes. He can knock down the three. He spreads the floor. He can grab rebounds. He can make life easier for Victor, which confuses and befuddles me as to why he doesn't get the playing time.
I know. Every time the Spurs have a lack of energy out there, a lot of Spurs fans cry out loud, "Hey, throw Mamu in there. What are you worried about? He's energy. He's hustle. You go out there." I think he's not afraid to even mix it up. We saw versus the Pacers in Game 2 in Paris after a cheap shot that was given to Sissoko. Maybe Mamu did a little retaliation in the ensuing plays. So he's not afraid to get his hands dirty on that. So I do advocate for him to get more minutes. I think there's a lot of potential there, especially the floor spacing that he can provide for Wemby. He may not be the athletic big, and he's not 7 foot, he's not 6'11", but he'll definitely has a lot of heart. I'm gonna give him a B+. What about you?
Ooh, man, you were right over my area there. So, okay, most fans are gonna give him that maybe B minus, B+ area. I actually give Mamu an A- for the time that he's on the court, because yes, I really do, and it goes back to what I said. The Spurs seem to be a better team when he's out there. Floor spacing is really good. He's very good on transition. He can play defense. He gets up on the boards. He does a lot of the good things right. So when he plays, you see good things on the court. Now, I'm grading them based off of what you told me. Grade the player. Grade the way that they've been playing. The way Mamu plays, he does deserve to get that A- from me. But again, people are gonna really come back at me because of playing time. If you take away the playing time and you give him the minutes that maybe a Keldon gets, or a little bit more than what Keldon gets, they're going to see more of production from Mamu. So, yeah, for what he's done on the court right now, Jeff, he makes the A-list for me.
All right. Well, there you have it. I got him at a B+. Rudy has him in the A-list. What do you think about Mamu and Bassey? Let us know on X at Sweep the League and at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs right now. We're not done looking at the bigs. When we get back, we're going to be looking at Zach Collins, and Victor Wembanyama. We'll do that in just a few seconds. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Very good show. Check it out on YouTube. Sweep the League. Go search for it right now. We're continuing our midseason report cards. This time we're looking at the Spurs bigs. And we just looked at Mamu and Bassey. Let's move on to Zach Collins. It's kind of been a whipping boy for Spurs fans this season. I mean, he cannot do anything right in Spurs fans' eyes. Again, he's been a victim of rotation. Wemby is playing good. Usually we'll see Bassey get minutes ahead of him. Mamu starting to get a little bit more minutes ahead of him right now. Zach seems to have fallen out of rotation. This season, he's averaging 4.8 points per game, about 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists in 12 minutes per game. He's played 34 games. He started 14 blocks on the season, 14 steals on the season, and he's not really effective three-point shooter. He's taken 45, made 13. That's good for 29% three-shot shooting, and he's averaged out 45% from the field. So there's your stats as of this point. I think Zach Collins' time is probably gonna end soon. Now, the problem with Zach, though, is that he has a monster deal. He has a big contract, and that may prevent the Spurs from trading him unless it's for a big player that the numbers to work. His contract reminds me of the Pau Gasol one. Remember that monster contract they gave Pau Gasol?
Yeah.
And, that's what it reminds me of. But it's like I can see where he can have value because of his ruggedness. And we call, you've been on the record saying the Spurs that lack grit, a.k.a. maybe a little soft. Well, there's the guy right there. Zach Collins is not soft. Numbers aside, when I think soft, I don't think Zach Collins. So I'm kind of torn with this one because I feel he's, again, a victim of minutes. His minutes are considerably down. Last season, 22 minutes per game. 10 minutes less, 12.1 so far. And then when he had the minutes last season, gave you 11 points per game, 5 rebounds, and about 3 assists. He even shot about 48% from the field. So, he does produce, but man, when he's out there, it looks like it's just mistake after mistake. Your thoughts?
The Zach Collins podium was kicked out from under him this year. He saw promises last year. I mean, of course he had mistakes. He never was going to be a starter. He was supposed to be pretty much the main reserve for Wemby. And this year it's gone down a notch. I don't know if it's usage of Zach Collins, maybe not putting him in the right position. I mean, maybe and it could be as simple as just the lineups don't work for Zach. I mean, he may not have chemistry with the team. Really, we don't know, and it's something that may have to get worked through. I get 100% what you're saying. He does have value somewhere on this team. It's just finding that value. Is it a locker room guy? Is it bringing the toughness? Is it spelling a few minutes for Wemby? Shooting's down, scoring's really down. It's just people don't look at him as, worth the contract he's got. But I mean, at this point, it's basically a contract that's going to be moved. If, like you said, if they have to get a perennial all-star in that's going to have these huge contract numbers, that's where he's going to be moved. But I can probably say at the end of the season, if he's not dealt, you might see him get cut, and they may just have to eat the salary.
Yeah, I think he signed a 2-year, $34.8 million.
Yeah,
guaranteed. So, jeez, that's a big hit there for the Spurs. So, there's still a lot of games to be played this season. You talk about backups, unless they make a move. You hear names like Jakob Poeltl and Valanciunas available. Maybe that's the deal there. You move Zach, but even if it's not in San Antonio, he does fit somewhere. It could just a roster fit right now for him as well. The Spurs are going to Sohan to play 5 now, so you see that, and he's lost minutes to Sohan with that move. So overall, I do feel bad for him, because there is potential that you can see it, but it's just not panning out. It's not working. It's not meshing well with the chemistry right now. It doesn't really pair well with Wemby as much. Remember, they started together during Wemby's rookie season, and that didn't work out. So then where do you slot him? So that's the problem with him. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to give him a C. What about you?
God, you're really nice, aren't you? Too bad we're grading on A, B, C, D standards because, I mean, I would give him an N for needs improvement, but since we go pretty much lowest is D, and I would say probably like a D minus. And I think that I have to be pretty hard on him on the sense that I see the value. I just don't know. There's times I don't even know if he kind of wants to be here, to be honest with you. So
Really?
I don't know if something is going on. That's the way I feel when I, look at some of the highlights and recap some of the games. I'm looking at it like, man, this doesn't feel like it fits. It's a good fit. So again, could be the lineup changes. It could be the lineups themselves. It could be he's not gelling or having good chemistry. Nobody knows, but everything's gone down for Zach Collins as far as stats wise. He does have value. You just have to find it. And until the coaching staff finds it, I got to give him that D minus grade right now.
All right. Well, let's move on to the obvious A plus of the group, and that is Victor Wembanyama. Where do you even begin with him? Without him, obviously the Spurs team would be horrible record. It wouldn't even be close to 500 where they're at right now. From his defense to his offense. We'll go to the numbers in a few minutes. He just does it all. He is an all-star. He will be an all-star. He's going to be the defensive player of the year. He is the foundational piece for this team. I don't even think we need to go further than that. Seriously, I mean, A++++. His leap this year has been significant, even for him, Rudy.
Very, very big time leap. We don't have to worry so far about the sophomore slump from Victor Wembanyama, putting up MVP numbers to start the year. Had that 5-game stretch where he came down back to planet Earth from his original planet of the alien here in San Antonio. But that little bit, I think was a good lesson for him. He bounced back really well, still putting up monster numbers even through that period. You're giving him an A+++++, but I still don't have him that high. Sorry.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I don't have him. I have him at an A. I'm sorry, I took away the plus. I have him at an A. So that's for me right there. And the only reason why is because I still feel that he needs to reverse a little bit. I don't mind the 3-point shoot and the attempts. I just mind how many. In other words, if you're attempting 12, I'd rather you attempt 8 and use those other 4 as, inside the arc, perimeter jump shots, maybe get to the paint a little more, because then your points per game will increase. But that's just me nitpicking. Everything else, I really don't have a problem with.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anything at all. From the defense, the blocks, I mean, there was just nothing this guy cannot do. Even when he had like 3 blocks in a row, or at least in a sequence out in France.
Yeah.
On the assist, instead of making the call for himself, he made the call for, I think it was the Champagne, and then found him cutting, and just incredible what he's doing. So far this season, 38 games, all starts, 33 minutes per game, 25 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, about 4 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks, leads the league in that department. If you're going to nitpick it too, again, turnovers are still a little high, 3.5, but then again, he is the focal point, so that's going to happen. The ball's more in his hands. His defensive rebounding, 9.1, offensive rebound, nearly 2, 1.7, 3-shot, 35%, one of the better 3-point shooters on the Spurs roster, and maybe just among centers in the league. There's just no denying he is the future of this team, Rudy.
No, there's no denying it. I mean, blessed to the Spurs, they've had Robinson and Duncan, and now they've got Wemby, so they've been blessed with big guys. But no, I mean, he's the future of the San Antonio Spurs, and you're just seeing him barely scratch the surface. Now, can he average more points per game? Sure. There's ways that he can always improve. The turnovers are a big thing too. But you're right. When you're the focal point, you have the ball in your hand majority of the times, chances are really high you're going to have a lot of turnovers. It happens to the best of them. So I really like the path that he's on. And the one thing I need fans to understand is this. Don't allow the unsuccessful seasons of the San Antonio Spurs dictate how you feel of whether Wemby's going to be here for the long period of time. He's going to be here. He wants to be here. He understands the rebuild. And it's just going to take a little bit of time. But, 2025, 2026 is going to be around here right before you know it. That's where it's taking. But yeah, nonetheless, man, I mean, I have no problems with your grade at all for him. He's the focal point. He's the main feature for the Spurs.
Absolutely. Just to wrap up, Victor, among centers, he's first in 3-point attempts, first in 3-point makes, first in blocks, again, just among centers in the NBA. Second in field goal attempts, third in field goals made, fourth in points, fourth in free throw percentage, sixth in assists, and the list goes on and on. Seventh in steals, eighth in rebounds. You know where I'm going with this. He is just really good. He's really good now. Again, there are other areas of nitpick. Again, we talk about turnovers. I'd like to see maybe his offensive rebounding level up a bit. I think that's something he can work on moving forward. Nevertheless, I'm giving him an A++++. Really just giving him an A. Nevertheless, he is probably by far the best player on the Spurs roster. All right, there you have it. Our mid-season report cards for the Spurs bigs. What do you think about Bassey, Wemby, Zach, Mamu? Let Rudy know on X at Sweep the League. And speaking of Sweep the League, tell us what's going on over there.
Yeah, the best thing to do is go to YouTube, start Sweep the League TV, hit that subscribe button. It's myself, it's Derek Garvin. We got a whole bunch getting launched again. FTL 316, Sweep Unplugged. I mean, you've got Great of the Market. Just tons of content coming at you left and right. And you don't want to miss it. We've got a lot to talk about this week. Super Bowl weekend's coming up here pretty soon. All-Star weekend will be here for this NBA. Not only that, massive trade in the WNBA. Kelsey Plum now in Los Angeles. We're going to get into that this week as well. So be sure to tune into Sweep the League TV.
Absolutely. Again, follow Rudy on X at Sweep the League. And as Rudy, we always appreciate you making time to stop by here at Locked On Spurs. Everybody else, subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts: iTunes, Spotify, Kenspi Plus tab, YouTube. Locked On Spurs newsletter is here. Go subscribe to it right now. On the YouTube side of things, just click on the link or the description below. Big old letters there. It says the LO Spurs newsletter. Click on that. It is completely free. Sign up today. We'll be back tomorrow. I think we have a fan episode tomorrow and a special segment. So keep an eye on that for tomorrow, everybody. So, and I think y'all will like it. I'm pretty sure y'all will like that special segment. But for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.